Welcome to Fear Babes Podcast, a paranormal podcast founded and hosted by Fear fan members.
All thoughts and opinions are strictly our own, and we are not affiliated with any shows in any way.
My name is Burgundy.
My name is Madeline.
And we are
the Fear Babes. Welcome back to Fear Babes Podcast. We're doing something a little different today.
Different, just for you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Super excited.
Are we doing ASMR?
We could.
I would love to.
What if we did one episode where we did nothing but whisper the whole fucking time?
I bet only 2 people would like that.
I bet we couldn't make it past 3 minutes whispering.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. You have a really good whisper voice.
Thank you.
I think that we should...
Told you.
Maybe we should create a Fear Babes ASMR.
Bro, Fear Babes After Dark.
Yeah, dude, literally okay, this is something that's a little vulnerable and weird because I know ASMR isn't for everyone, but one of the reasons why I had wanted to purchase the Blue Yeti microphone, which is what we use both of us have a Blue Yeti.
Not sponsored, by the way.
Not sponsored. I wish, because I do like these mics a lot. A lot of ASMR artists use the Blue Yeti microphone, and I had told Burgundy, and at the time Jamie as well, that I really wanted the Blue Yeti because I could use it for ASMR, and I still have never done it. Maybe this is the year. Ooh.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Wait. How about
it's
that?
satisfying.
Okay, there you go.
I love shit like that. I love the brushing of the mic. I don't know.
Okay, when I first got this mic and I was just testing it out because I was curious, because I was excited, I did this. This is a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Here.
That's the kind of shit that the ASMR artists I listen to do.
So on this week's episode of Fear Babes... 3 minutes in, we're just fucking wasting time. We're we're gonna try a new platform. Oh, the free trial only gives us an hour. Let's waste it all. Fuck Project Fear.
Legitimately, what?
Every time, dude, it never fails. We're this is the week where we stay on topic.
Well, you know what? We've got 10 seconds until 4 minutes. Now, we're going to stay on topic.
So, today, we're discussing all of our hopes and dreams. No, I'm just kidding.
Close.
Being an alien is our hopes and dreams? I'm
Yes.
already an alien.
We are.
Okay, so who saw the drones video? Show of hands. All of you? Good. If you haven't,
Great.
leave and then come back when you do.
Because that is what we're discussing today. So do your homework, kids.
Yeah, I had to. Fuck.
Exactly. I took notes the first time. I'm thinking about watching it again.
I've watched it 3 fucking times now. Took notes this last time.
It was a very interesting video for sure.
It was. The first thing that I have to say, and I mean this in the most respectful way I can possibly say this, Dakota Layden, if you're listening, do not, I repeat, do not get rid of the facial hair. Thank you. Why are you laughing like that?
Because I don't know what to say. Agree?
You're making me nervous.
I know. That's why I'm
That was fine.
What should I say? Agree? I guess. So, I mean, where do we begin? It's very interesting how it's... I don't have any thoughts. Bergie? This is going to be a rough one.
Yeah, okay, first of all, full disclosure. It's been a rough fucking week for Mads and I both, so we're like, we're here, we're trying, I want to say our hearts are in it, but our minds aren't, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah,
So, sorry, in advance. Anyways, this episode was hella interesting because it's a different topic than Project Fear's ever touched on before, really. I mean, they talked about aliens in the, Sheboygan episode, but they haven't gone, like, specifically searching for UFOs until now, right?
Right. And one thing about them to know is that, like, they all believe in aliens. I think that, like, when you investigate the paranormal, some people actually only believe in, like, the spiritual side of the paranormal instead of all of the paranormal. Like, some people, they don't believe in, like, cryptids. They don't believe in aliens.
Again, that's kind of wild to me, though, because it's like, everybody knows my feelings on this, because I've said it, like, probably at least 17 times at this point throughout. If one is possible, another can be, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely, absolutely. I, like, for instance, I've said this, too. Like, one thing that I'm not sure I believe in is Bigfoot, but I'm not going to shit on anybody that believes in Bigfoot.
You met him, though. You met him when we were going to Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. He was a little creepy looking.
It was, honestly.
I guess first thing I wanted to talk about was the videos of, like, UFOs and drones that they showed within, like, the first 10-ish minutes. There were 2 videos with a craft and fireworks, and, like, one was in 2018 and one in 2014. That really creeped me out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never seen anything like that. Have you?
No, but it was definitely weird. And the fact that there was 2 different videos of, like, the same thing happening,
yeah,
was weird to me.
It's just a little bit disturbing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and so the ones to go along with those videos, the one where the orb was watching the fireworks, I wanted to mention because it wasn't mentioned in the video, and it's, like, not bad or anything that it wasn't. But did anybody else notice that the orb, when it flew away, it turned red, but it was, like, the same type of red as the fireworks were?
No, I did not notice that. A lot of the alien documentaries that I have watched, it's about, like, how we borrowed intelligence from extraterrestrials. Like, they come down and they share their experiences, the things that they know, how to make things easier for us. But what we don't really think about much, at least in my experience and, like, the documentaries I have watched, is that they don't really talk about, like, how we could potentially give what we know to them. Like, for instance, clearly they must not have, like, fireworks or anything, because it did seem that orb was observing the fireworks on the 4th of July.
The other 2 different scenarios were mimicking a similar experience.
Yeah. And regardless, like, the firework thing, that there's no justification or explanation of that. I've definitely, like, obviously, we have had fireworks for a couple centuries now, okay? And if there was something like that, we would know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen anything like that before. That was very scary.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because of how it, like, expanded, and then it started, like, producing the fireworks. It was just weird. A part of me wonders, and, like, maybe this might be a little outlandish, but, you know, like, America has the infamous Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
A part of me does wonder, and I believe I had seen something at one point in some documentaries that, you know, the extraterrestrials have, like, a contract of some sort with humans to just kind of, like, I don't know if it's to, like, share, like, what they have or what it is, but, like, I just don't understand why Area 51 is even a thing, you know?
The government fucking knows, but they try to keep it a secret for so fucking long. And then that one year, randomly, they're just like, oh yeah, aliens are real. Like, yeah, we all fucking know, bro. Like,
you want to know something that I thought was interesting is I have, of course, and I've stated this multiple times on the podcast, I am from a very Christian and very religious family. And majority of my family believe in aliens.
yeah.
And that is because, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, this is just a story that was relayed to me because unfortunately I did not have the privilege of meeting my great-grandfather. He passed before I was born. My mother shared a story with me about how my great-grandfather swore he saw an alien and that he believed in them because the Bible says that there are aliens. And I was like, really? And Mom's like, I couldn't tell you what passage. He used to know it like by his heart. But if you guys are of the Christian religion or have studied the Bible, let me know what passage that may be. I might need to do my research.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can look it up.
I still like the idea that we are the aliens on this planet and that we came from a different planet, such as like Mars or something.
Really? I need you to expand on that theory.
So, it was a couple months ago. I think I've mentioned it before on this podcast too, but there's like signs like, for example, now my facts, I haven't like looked into it since, so this was like a year ago. I'm trying to refresh my memory here, but it was like humans thrive best at like, I don't know, we'll say for shits and gigs, we'll say 67 degrees or whatever, right? And like the surface temperature of Mars is 67 degrees. And then there was like talk about our spines and stuff like that, like, so the way that evolution works and how our bodies have changed over the course of just like humans existing. They're talking about how we're getting shorter because of the gravity of Earth and how like gravity's different on Mars and stuff like that, and it's compressing our spines because our spines are not used to this much pressure. You've never heard any of these things?
No, never.
Yeah, it was like this whole, like, I went on this whole deep dive, like, TikTok doom scrolling adventure for like 2 weeks straight. But yeah, there's just a bunch of weird like facts and theories about like we've come from Mars and we're the aliens here, and like part of that's why people think Elon's trying to re-inhabit Mars and like shit like that.
That is such a crazy theory, but like I'm not going to be one to eliminate anything. Like, of course some people would probably argue, oh well, when it says aliens in the Bible, that means like aliens from other countries, people like travelers. That was a very frequent thing back then, of course. Like people would settle anywhere or just move about and, you know, just carry on. But there is one, it's from Deuteronomy, verse 4:19. It says, "And when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them and worshiping things the Lord your God has apportioned to all the nations under heaven." That to me does not sound like aliens from the human world.
Right.
Meaning Earth in particular. Right. It's just very interesting because I had briefly mentioned last week, I believe, the ancients, a very popular topic. There's even a TV show based off the ancient aliens. I enjoy that show a lot. I think it's very informative, very interesting to watch. I find it very fascinating that the ancients were, and when you think about the ancients, you know, you think about the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, ancient Egyptians, the Mayans. I mean, there were others as well. Those are the most popular. I don't know if this is like a common, like, conclusion that people have come to, or like something that people have put together, because I sure as the fuck did not put this together until after it was mentioned on, I believe it was Ancient Aliens, that they all believed in a sky god. Mm-hmm. A sky god that would come down from the sky and help them. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
A sky god that would come down from the sky.
It's, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's like our god, you know? Like, the way that it was depicted.
I don't know. It's just I don't know why that hit me the way it did.
You're such a... That's so fucked. But the way that it was depicted was that this sky god gave them knowledge. It's been a while since I've watched that, so I'm hoping I'm not butchering it. I hope that some people are not listening and be like, that's wrong. That's wrong.
But same about with me in the fucking Mars theory. I was like, that was like from a year ago. I don't remember.
Well, the thing about theories is that that's what makes it fun, is that you can just like go down a rabbit hole and just kind of go off on like these crazy tangents. But in this case, it's in regards to aliens. I just thought that it was very fascinating that all of these ancient people who were not connected, because this is way after Pangea. Pangea was like millions of years ago. And at this point, the continents were very much, split. And, how would the ancient Incans and the Mayans have any sort of communication with the Egyptians? The answer is, nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible, but I did find it fascinating that, like, at that time when I had watched this, like, the drawing seems similar. I don't know. It's just fascinating as a whole. And also, like, a lot of people love to talk about, like, ancient Egypt and how they built the pyramids. And I'm going to say something probably a little controversial.
We love controversy.
We love controversies, but I don't think it was impossible for them to have built it by themselves, like the pyramids. Mm-hmm. But I also don't think that they did it by themselves, because the pyramids were so intricate and like they go underground. Have you ever looked at the formatting of a pyramid, how they went underground and like built this elaborate tomb for their pharaohs? Have you ever looked into just how intricate it is?
No.
And you're telling me that they had enough time? Like, the rock that they used to build the pyramids were so insanely heavy. It feels to me like if they were to produce these things and like build these pyramids with these heavy ass rocks, okay? I feel like it would probably take a day at the very least, with thousands of the slave workers at that time, to get even just one or two of those motherfuckers up there. Like, you start from the bottom, but then guess what? You have to eventually go to the top. Could you imagine how long that would take, pulling these things that are thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds up a slope, an incline? Not impossible with thousands of people pushing and pulling. But it's also very interesting as a whole how they could have done it as fast as they did. See, this is what I'm saying, like me trying to wing it. I don't actually like know everything. I just 15 to 30 years, more than likely 20 to 30 years. Could you imagine spending 365 days a year times 30 to build one thing?
No.
Just makes you wonder, huh? Enough of that. Let's get back to the episode.
Side tangents.
The next note that I had made that I didn't know, and that you wouldn't know unless you look for it, is in 1561, people saw a bunch of orbs fighting themselves over Germany. 1561, okay?
Yeah.
This is like post-Renaissance era.
It was orbs and crosses is what it said, right?
I'm not sure about crosses. I didn't hear that part, but I definitely heard orbs. You watched it 3 times, you would know. But then, again, and this is within the same decade, in 1566 in Switzerland, the Swedish people saw something similar. So, again, orbs fighting themselves in the sky. I wonder just how far back experiences like that went. You know, like how often did they see orbs in the sky? Because that is weird. Like for us, like for instance, what Dakota and Connor did. Okay, We're used to seeing weird shit in the sky because we see planes, rockets, helicopters, all kinds of, like, we now have drones, all this interesting stuff. It's not weird to look up in the sky and see shit. But in that century, that was unheard of.
Yeah, that would be freaky.
Yeah, like imagine just like going about your day. You don't have power. You don't have any of this modern technology. And you just look up in the sky and you see shit moving around.
I would just go hide.
Yeah, you would
I'm outta here,
probably
bye.
you would probably think, especially at that time, that it was the end of the world.
Yeah.
And they were constantly living in fear of God coming back and showing his wrath to the people.
Well, that's why I thought it was interesting they said orbs and crosses, because that would just, would heighten the fear for people.
Well, they did say, too, that they did believe it was like God showing his wrath, essentially.
Yeah.
That people were living a life of sin and God was unhappy. And that was a frequent trend throughout a lot, like for a long time in history. You can look back and see. I know that with just an example, King Henry VII, when he came forth, King Henry VII was Henry Tudor. So he began the Tudor dynasty, and this was in the 1480s, 1485, I believe. And not too long after that, a terrible, awful plague came to London, and a lot of people blamed it on the fact that God was unhappy that King Henry VII came into the throne, because they had been fighting with the Wars of the Roses and stuff. Mm-hmm. So they believed, everything was of divine intervention. If it was bad, if it was great, everything was divine intervention. Mm-hmm. So that's such a wild concept to materialize, I guess.
Right.
Just to think about, like, aliens. Shit, it would have been awful. It would have been scary, for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. I just can't even, wrap my brain around it. I'm just, trying to envision that,
I know. It's very hard to envision it.
Reel it back into the aliens. Project Fear.
Next topic.
Another tangent, Dakota. I want to talk about the fact that, the pieces that tied together throughout this 3-day journey that Dakota went on, right? So, in the very beginning, he mentions that he went down this whole rabbit hole. He found all these videos of, drones, but also orbs. And then he was 5 to 10% of these videos are not drones, they're the orbs. And then when they go and talk to their military informant, or whatever we want to call him, he also mentioned the fact that it was he kind of alluded to the drones are in the sky to be watching for the orbs.
And that the military doesn't necessarily understand said orbs.
Yeah. And so, because I have a hard time believing, just like you said, he's there's no way it'd be foreign adversaries, because, our government wouldn't allow that and shit. But I'm when it comes to the drones specifically, people know, there's people that know the answer, and they're just not sharing it with the public.
Right. Well, what's interesting about the drones is that, okay, so if they're spying on us, great. They have so many different ways to spy on us. So I don't think they're looking for us.
No, it's the fucking pigeons that are spying on us. Come on now. I'm just kidding.
Well, think about it,
different conspiracy theory.
Way different, but I've heard of that conspiracy theory, and there could potentially be truth to that. But when it comes to, our iPhones, Echo Dot, all that kind of stuff, those things, I do believe, for some reason.
For example, just an example, my camera is on right now on my computer, even though we're not using it.
Yeah. Mine is too.
And I have one of those privacy little flap things, thank gosh. But it's if I'm not using it, because on this platform, I have mine shut off. Mm-hmm. Why would it be on?
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Just an example. But
it's very interesting. I clearly they're not looking for us. They're not looking out for us. They have other ways to do that.
Yeah.
And I did think that it was very fascinating that, Donald Trump, when he was in a press meeting a couple months ago, they asked him, and he pretty much point blank said, the the government knows something that they're not telling us. And, you know, some people were like, oh, he knows. I don't know if he knows yet. He might know in the next couple of days when he comes into office what exactly they're looking for. Yes, he has prior knowledge, because when you're a president, you come into all knowing, all knowledge of everything from the start of this country, the things that we could never fathom. They just have so much knowledge and they know so much. And it really is that deep.
Yeah.
It really is that deep. They know far more than the average American does. And other leaders of countries know far more than we all know. And so it is very interesting that the military, just an average military person who also knows more than the average American, that they don't know what it is. They know that they are a government resource, but they don't know exactly what they're being used for. They have an idea, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it is very odd.
Like, I mean, even go back to his story, though. He said that there was, like, the crew was out flying, and they were supposed to track down this object that showed up on radar, and, like, they were like, it's an orb, or I guess he said spherical and metallic. And he's like, I don't know of anything that's spherical that could fly. And then he said that it threw off all of their equipment, and then he told Connor and Dakota, like, if that happened, it essentially means that the jets are out of power, which they weren't, and then people came back white as a ghost.
Yeah, there's a lot.
What? Well, I also want to know, too, like, and you kind of brought this up before we actually started recording, too, but why Jersey?
Yeah, I do wonder
places. That. I mean, no offense to anybody from Jersey, but it's like, why y'all so special?
Yeah, and see, like, one would say, if they haven't done their research, oh, well, you know, Jersey is next to New York. It's also next to another big city, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
But that begs the question, then, isn't it on purpose?
But see, like, it's everywhere throughout the state of New Jersey. So there's something there that obviously we're not aware of, that they're trying to detect or uncover or look for, or that they know is either inhabiting the area or is just, I don't know. There's got to be a reason.
So many things that could be, yeah.
But I did want to mention that when Dakota and Connor went to the ocean, the ocean, of course, like what we were discussing last week, is very energetic, has a lot of pull, and that the moon does control the tides. But they captured what seemingly appeared to be a boat, but the boat was moving across the horizon of the ocean extremely fast. And I wanted to make the point that there is no way a boat could move that fast, considering how choppy the ocean was, which is what we couldn't see from the distance they were at, is that, like, the ocean was extremely choppy. If it's raining, like how it was, and it was foggy, the ocean's choppy. It's rough. You can't move a boat that quick and that smooth. It also didn't have a red or green light, which is an indicator of the U.S. Coast Guard. It was just a straight, normal white light. There's just, I need to emphasize, there's no way a boat could move that quick across the ocean in choppy waters. It's physically impossible.
It's almost as if it was a flying light.
And the direction it was going, I mean, it depends on how, like, the tide is and whatever, is that, like, the boat would have been visibly, like, the light would have been moving.
Oh, yeah. Like, bobbing around.
That makes me nauseous just thinking about it. But I mean, I've been out on the ocean many a time and it be choppy. And I can tell you one thing, it cannot go fast. You're asking for...
Or that smoothly, for that matter.
Absolutely not.
But also, their camera zoom stopped working. Their batteries, drained.
And I don't think that was a coincidence. It was very weird.
Well, and, like, Connor even said at the end, he's like, that made us look like we're fucking amateurs.
And it's like, well, maybe there's truth to, like, why people never get good videos when it comes to that stuff.
I was gonna say, camera zoom sucks because literally, even Dakota was like, you zoom in and then you make one minor movement and it's like,
yep.
like the camera's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, can you just focus on the one thing that we're trying to look at, please?
Yeah, exactly.
But I know it's not operator error, but it's just because how cameras work. But
yeah, it's frustrating, and I completely understand that. And, you know, I do think that whatever they were looking at, there was more than likely there was a reason for why the cameras were acting that way, because that was not a boat.
I said too, like Dak was like, we would not let our camera batteries get that low.
No, not when they're looking for something like this.
So like again, you know, like we always see them with ghosts, their batteries get drained, but like this is like a technology interference type of situation.
Yeah, like
something else that has electricity, like pulled the electricity from their cameras type of situation.
Yeah, it's so
that's weird.
Strange. But again, that kind of goes into like, you know, they experience stuff like that all the time when they're searching for spiritual entities that are not extraterrestrial. They are what we believe to be people who have passed on.
Right.
Like physically died in this world and,
you know,
are manifested in, you know, the afterlife.
Yeah. Do you know what I want to say about this video? Is that I love that in true Project Fear fashion, they never said it's this or it's that or it's one or the other or it's something specific. Like they just left it open-ended for people to make their own conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like that. I did want to mention really quick about the ocean thing. There was a video that they shared of people looking out over the ocean, and there was like 2 or 3 lights on the horizon that would go out and like go in and like all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, my mom and my biological dad, when they were still together, we went on a family vacation in 2010, and on this vacation, like we were in bed, like this experience happened with just my mom and my dad. It was probably a little before or a little after midnight. I'm not sure the specifics. I just remember them telling me about this. But they were sitting out like at the hotel. There is the pool area, and then there are, you know, the lounge chairs that are facing the ocean. And suddenly, across the horizon of the ocean, they saw 3 lights. And Mom said that they were out there for a very long time, but they were just white lights. There was no red or green. And she thought that was really weird, and my dad thought it was really weird too. One of them would go off, and then another would like go off, and then they would all come back, and then they would all go away, and then they would all come back. Like they seemed like they were very much in sync. Mm-hmm. And then eventually they just disappeared out of nowhere. But they were like, she said that they were all like perfectly aligned across the horizon, and she said that that was such an odd experience. She's not sure, obviously, and nobody's really ever sure that it was extraterrestrial, but one thing that I can say for sure, that was a very odd dream that she had when she was pregnant with Samuel. She just recalls like being surrounded by aliens, and they were inspecting her in her pregnant belly.
That's
and
interesting.
This is specifically for Samuel. All right. Like she never had anything like that with me. And suddenly after Samuel was born, he grew up a little bit. He was absolutely terrified of aliens, like as a kid. And he would tell Mom at night that aliens would come and check on him. Like actually come and like inspect him in his bed at night.
That is very intriguing.
I know. I think it's very weird.
What a strange series of events.
It's weird that they're like connected, because I was so scared. As a kid, I was so scared because I was like, what do you mean there's aliens? Oh, you're just dreaming. You're just dreaming. And then my mom told me one day, she's like, you know what's weird? And like, I was literally like 12, like 11 or 12. And she was like, you know what's weird? Like when I was pregnant with your brother, I had dreams about aliens. And I was like, and she was like, yeah, I had dreams about aliens like pretty frequently. And then now all of a sudden Samuel sees aliens at night. And obviously, like when he grew up, that stopped, which I find interesting as well in correlation to like children when they see like spirits or stuff, like stuff like that.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Like they grow out of that because their third eye isn't as prominent anymore.
Well, you know, Mads. Sorry, but like you just made me like my brain was like, what an idea.
Idea.
It's almost like, what if, because you know my story with the alien ghost thing, and I'm not going to tell it again on this podcast because that'll be the third fucking time I'll tell people what episode to go to here later in a minute. But what if instead of like, you know, like let's talk concepts of parallel universes or other worlds, right? Like, what if they're able to visit us via parallel universe or like different planes type of situation instead of like not always technology? Like, does that make, I don't know how to explain it.
It does make
like,
sense, yeah.
Instead of like flying here, like, because my story and my situation, it was more of like, I kind of had a thought at one point when the situation was happening. I was like, that universe that he's in and the universe I'm in, somehow the like veil is connecting enough to like create a connection for him and I to be in the same place at the same time type of vibe. Is that, I don't know how else to explain it other than that.
I know exactly what you mean.
What if for Samuel, when he was experiencing those things, kind of like same type of situation?
I do wonder if perhaps like there is some truth to that. My mom has thought for a very long time now that aliens are us from the future.
That's a nice theory too.
Which is interesting. But like I think that that could be true. Though time travel has essentially been proven impossible. But like at least to the past, not to the future. But I don't know at the same time, like if it's as complex as it appears, like us in the future could be millennia from now, like multiple millennia, and there could be some sort of information or technology that could achieve that. But in the present, we believe that it's impossible to return to the past. But that doesn't mean in the future it isn't possible to return to the past.
Right.
So the whole linear timeline thing again goes to my infamous Outlander theory, because you truthfully just don't know.
It's hard to form thoughts like when you know what you're trying to say, but you don't know how to explain it because it's also stuff that we have no tangible proof.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how, like, I get it in my head, but I don't know how to make it translate through to, like, words.
Yeah.
You know?
It's hard. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
I jerked my cord out. Like a dumb
Every
fuck.
time. Every fucking time. Jerked it out. At least you didn't jerk it off.
Well, anyway, what were we even talking about?
I don't remember. Okay, we were talking about Samuel and his experience in the parallel universes, and then what were you saying? You were saying something specifically about it.
I don't know. All I know is,
well, guys, that was the end of that topic.
all I know is that like shit just be kind of crazy, and like I feel like there are more people than you think that have alien experiences. Yeah.
So I had one specific story, as I had briefly mentioned a few moments ago, of an experience that I had, and again, I've told it twice on the podcast, so I'm not going to tell it again, but I will tell you which episode you can go back to if you would like to hear my specific experience with an alien. Let me actually just pop into Spotify real quick and get the actual episode numbers. I know it was Allie's episode and Chelsea's episode. Okay, episode 46 was the first time I brought it up. That was when we talked to Allie. We love Allie. And then episode 50 when we talked to Chels. I told her the same story.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
So if you're interested in my experience, one of those 2 episodes will do it for you. Now, I will say that in the middle of December, so literally almost exactly a month ago, I flew to Denver for work, and our plane got delayed 4 hours because of a mechanical failure with the engine. So we had to wait for a different one, and so we didn't fly out until almost midnight. And the Casper to Denver flight is very short. It's like 45, probably closer to 40 minutes long. But when we were approaching Denver, I was just looking out the window, and I did see something that looked like a drone hovering above the city.
Fuck.
Yeah, because I was like, it wasn't an airplane because it was too low. And it wasn't really like, because I was like, is it a helicopter? Because there was a helicopter in the like distance, but it didn't look like it was moving. It was just in one spot. Did I send you that
No, you
video,
didn't.
Mads? Okay, let me send it to you.
Is creepy.
Yeah, so that's neither here nor there, but Denver, here we are in like the middle of the fucking United States, way far away from Jersey.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, obviously, I feel like the places that you do see the drones are definitely places where there have been some sort of report or indication by people who are not the average American that are
Yeah.
saying, hey, there's something out here, or maybe they know. Maybe they know it's out there. It's just, it's so strange. I do believe that, like, of course, we all know of Area 51, but I think it's a broader thing than just, it's obviously not condensed in one area, even though Jersey has gotten
Dude,
worse, but
this video's even weirder than I thought it was when
did
I
you
took
send it?
it. I'm about to. Okay, it actually might just be reflections from the light, but it looks like there's something in the air in front of it. Go.
That's so weird.
Go. Go to Mads. Fucking go. Just go. Did it work? Go. It's going. It's loading. Slowly, but surely. We're gonna get a live reaction from Mads on my video here in a minute. There, okay. Look at it. Look at it. Are you looking at it? Did you look at it?
Yeah, that's not a plane.
No, but watch it. Like if you look for a minute, like a couple seconds in, look in front of it. I mean, to the right of it.
I don't think that's a reflection.
Do you see that? Whatever that is that I'm talking about,
Mhm.
that little like thing right in front of it. What is that?
I don't know. Yeah, it's with it staying in one place, that's suspicious. Because, like,
Yeah, I thought that was
a
really
lot of
weird.
people have flown before, and when you fly and you come in contact with another plane in the air, it's going extremely fast. That was not
Yeah.
moving at all.
No, I don't think it's a helicopter either.
No. A helicopter, no.
Which also brings me to the point, like Dakota when he was at the reservoir and he was like, "This is a plane." I was like, "Sir, that's not a fucking plane."
Yeah, there was
that one thing
Mhm.
at the end that he watched like go out and then turn around. I was like, "It looks really sus the way it's moving."
Yeah, there was one thing where he was like, "Oh, that's a plane." And I was like, I'm not sure." But
Yeah.
yeah, there was like twice I think in that area where it was a little bit interesting as to what was flying in the air. It was
Yeah.
a beautiful area, by the way, which is so cool. It was a
I know.
very clear night that night for him.
Mhm.
Unfortunately,
All the
it wasn't the
stars.
same with Kana, but it
No.
it was still
I'm glad Connor came out and joined him, though.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Too bad they couldn't have done it for a longer because like I almost feel like you have to put aside more time, but
Yeah, I'm sure it was like a spur of the moment,
I'm
last
pretty
minute type
sure
of situation,
it
but
was. But I would like to see them do it again and see what else that they could find.
I was gonna say, much like a bunch of other people I've seen commenting all over the place, we want a follow-up video. Please go back and do more research. Because honestly, I just have more questions at this
Yeah.
point.
And see, that's the thing about like looking for these things is that there's never going to be answers to your questions.
Mm-mm.
Unless you become the
No.
president of the United States, I don't think there's any answers. And even then, you still may not. There are things that you still may question.
Dear DJT, please share your information with us. Thank you.
We'd like to know.
Can you tell the peoples what is happening in Jersey? Thank
It
you.
would be nice for sure, but it will never happen. Unless he
I know.
might say, "Oh yeah, they're military drones." Okay, it's conclusive. But
Well, if they're military drones, what are they doing?
yeah, and that makes me like they'll tell us that like okay, so one thing that I thought was interesting, this reminds me. When Dakota got pulled over by that cop first night, that was
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
weird. Um I don't know.
I was gonna say
I don't
I was gonna say that I've seen there was more flashing lights in this 1 hour, 15-minute video than I've seen in my whole fucking town in, like, the
yeah, I
last month.
know. Like
It
it was
was
very
weird.
odd. And but what was interesting is that like for one, Dakota never left in why he was pulled over. So I'm curious as to why.
He said he got pulled over for taking the wrong turn
That's not clear enough though. If that's what the cop said,
because he was
if
at
that's
a
what the cop said, that's
he was at the base.
yeah, but he that's not clear enough. I would have been like, "What do you mean? I don't know where I'm at." So, which he
Yeah.
did, but
Yeah, for
like,
sure. But that's what makes it more suspicious is, like, so there's a bunch of flashing lights in Jersey, as in some cops, the one was questionable, is it a cop,
that
is it
was
not a
not a
cop?
cop.
It just makes you wonder, like, if there's just cops, like, hanging out because of the
But
drones, and I mean, we don't know it's because of the drones, but it's like, what? That's just more
see, what I
suspicious.
don't understand is that like, okay, so he pulled him over for that, which really still doesn't make much sense. But whatever. But he was still very open to giving him information,
Yeah,
and that was interesting.
and he was like like Dak said, he seemed very unfazed by it. He was like, "Oh, yeah, for sure,
He
like,
probably gets asked it all
this
the
is
time,
happening."
all the
Yeah.
time.
Well, people are just like people we're just like
Mhm.
naturally curious, so we want to know. And then like obviously the public of New Jersey, if you're talking to a cop, like if somebody's gonna have maybe information, that's where you would start.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
I don't
weird.
know.
It's all
I
very
just
strange.
it was just I mean, like, I guess it's valid for him to pull him over, but at the same time, it's like, maybe follow him for a little while first and then
I
see.
mean that, and he could have, and we just didn't know. But like, so if because he was like on the base,
Yeah. Which I
um,
saw that part,
the military base. So,
but it's
like,
not he
I don't
couldn't
know.
go
People get
in,
weird.
so
Like, the government gets weird if you're around the military base. Yeah, but he said that he kept making wrong turns, and he did mention before he got pulled over, he's like, "Cops are probably watching me right now
still interesting, though.
because they have cameras all around that shit, so they're probably like, the same car keeps, like, trying to go into every single interest we have." So then at that point, he starts to look
True.
suspicious. So they're gonna, even if he didn't make a wrong turn, they're gonna pull him over and they're gonna make an, like, they have to give some excuse as to why they pulled him over, right? So they're thinking he's suspicious because he keeps taking wrong turns and going like he's trying to enter.
Yeah.
And turns out he's just lost. But they're like, if they're just pulling him over because they think he's suspicious, they're gonna make some shit up for a valid reason, right? So he's like, oh yeah, you took the wrong turn.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I guess because I'm not
very weird.
I'm not near, like, I don't know. Like, yes, it's valid, but at the same time, I don't know. But
we used to like, so I used to live in like Rapid City, and we used to go to like oh my gosh, Ellsworth Air Force Base near Rapid City, South Dakota. I used to have family friends that lived on base, and they're very, very particular about the security of the
that
base,
part is
so.
true. And yeah, I do know that part because two of my friends married military men and they lived on base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I just thought that the excuse was a little odd, but then you started saying that. Anyway, next topic. The weird lights in the woods that like towards the end of the video Connor and Dakota came across.
With all the
Yeah,
geese.
which they said
Yeah.
that they think it might have been like an animal thing, but I mean, I honestly don't know. But it was interesting.
That was strange. Yeah. That's all very,
It's
very
like,
weird. So like, maybe the lights are for the geese, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't live in Jersey, but I don't know why you would want
well, we have like,
to attract a bunch of geese to your.
well, see,
My milkshake brings all the geese to the yard.
well, see, that's the thing is that like geese are a pretty like invasive species, and I've
Mm-hmm.
never seen anything like that, especially down here in the South. Like, if there's something that they can use to make a certain animal go away, like for instance, I explained to you about like, deer are very invasive here, and we have a lot of
Yeah.
crops, and the deer will sometimes go into crops and they'll try to eat the like food that is growing. And so farmers use tannerite, which is a big loud explosion that scares them, so they run away. So
Mm-hmm.
like I feel as though if there were something, like people down here would have known about it. But it
Mm-hmm.
almost makes me want to ask like my stepdad, because he's more like versed in that kind of stuff, if he's ever heard of anything for geese, because I know I sure the fuck have not. um
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm gonna have to look into that, like Google it or something, because I'm like, well, it just was strange the way it was blinking and
I just
stuff
feel like
too.
if there truly was something, I would have known about it because of the location of which
Right.
I reside, because we have shit for
Mm-hmm.
everything, you know.
Right.
Because we have to,
Yeah.
because of our crops, and crops feed America, so gotta
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was very interesting, and it was really weird that when they went off, like the lights were on, you heard the geese, they went off, they stopped, like in all of them at the same time. It was super
Mm-hmm.
weird.
But then it kept blinking a little bit, but just not like the same intensity that it was like
Exactly.
prior. It
It
was
was
really weird.
strange.
I was like, I don't know. It was very strange.
It was so strange.
Uh, should we get into other fans'
Yes.
comments at this
Yes.
point, or okay? So let me pull up the old cell phone here. Doody doody doo. All right, Fear Club. We got two good ones on Fear Club. Okay, let's start with Kevin Perry. So he said, there's this one time back in 2008, I was staying at my friend's house, and we had heard there was supposed to be a meteor shower that could be seen outside, so we went outside to see it. I was watching one part of the sky, and my friend was watching the other side. As I was watching my side, I saw this ball of light that would blink red, blue, and white, and repeat. I asked my friend to look at the spot I was looking at, and he said that's probably nothing. I keep my eye on the spot that kept blinking those colors. It started moving up, down, left, then right, and it kept doing that in a zigzag pattern. And I said to my friend, I think that might be a UFO. And he said, dude, those things don't exist. They are fake things in movies. And I said, okay, but then in a flash, the blue that was blinking red, blue, then white disappeared, and I never saw it again. We never did see the meteor shower that night, but I will never forget that unexplained ball of light that I saw move very weirdly in the sky.
That's
That's weird. Wild.
really interesting.
Also, the fact that it's red, white, and blue.
Also
Like,
weird.
not like. So when we saw the orb, watching the fireworks and then it was mimicking the fireworks. It's kind of like if they have that capability or that's what they do, then it's like, because is it red, white, and blue because it's like over the United States?
I know, it
Or
makes you wonder, like, is this shit color coded or what the
anyways.
fuck?
Very interesting story, Kevin. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing
thanks,
with us.
Kevin. So next I have a story from Instagram, from our sweet friend Lisa. She said behind her house in Wisconsin, we used to see these weird lights about once a month. Turns out it had been happening for years. That's suspicious.
Very suspicious. Wisconsin. Why is it always like that general
I don't
vicinity
know.
too?
I really don't know. That's so odd.
Like, that's the other thing with UFOs is, like, the sightings always seem to be around the same general
Which I don't
areas.
understand because if you think about it in hindsight, right? Like out there where you're at, which is like the West, you would think
Mhm.
you guys would see more of that because you're less populated in those areas. But we are,
Well, and we have less light pollution
yeah,
too, so it would be, and maybe that's why maybe they think that they're, like, hiding more than they actually are, but
potentially. Yeah. That's a good point.
I
But
don't know.
yeah, it just is so interesting because like you can look at it one way and then another. Like we're so
Mhm.
densely populated, it gives more opportunity for people to see it. But out there, there's
Right.
less people who would see it. It doesn't matter. People are going to see it regardless, but it's just interesting.
Well, I mean, yeah, unless it goes to the area where there's literally no
I
one,
know.
but then that's, like, a whole different topic you can go down, so
I
it's just
know. Did you
strange.
know there's a Del Taco in Area 51?
In Area 51?
Yeah, apparently there is.
I love how you have your I love how you have your priorities straight. You're like, "Restaurants, Area
I know. I
51."
saw it earlier, like on TikTok, and I was like, "What? That's so random." Because apparently somebody had looked up Del
You know,
Taco in the area, and it showed one of
yeah,
them being inside Area 51.
inside. You know, aliens gotta eat
Amen.
too, man. Like, I'm sure they have to
It's
piece of
like they
steak somehow.
specifically requested Del Taco.
Right? They're like, "You know what? I can go for some tacos right
That's
about
so
now."
funny.
That's funny.
Shoo.
Okay. Uh, okay, Kat Westbury. She said, she put me. Oh my gosh, what the fuck is happening? I'm sleep deprived, by
Felt
the way.
that.
She gave us a nice little story here too, but like the first part, I'm gonna like make a comment on it because I like briefly started reading it while you were talking. She said I can't get over the use of fear in blue as it has to be a nod to Project Blue Book. Oh, see, I just thought she was talking about the blue logo, and I was like, the blue logo is fire
It
though.
is. I really
Anyways,
like that a lot.
I didn't continue reading, obviously. Yeah. So anyways, back to her story. So she says, and if they said that, then I totally missed it. The video was very well done, putting all the references, videos, and first-hand interviews into this to just touch the tip of what was going on is what a lot of other videos missed out on the topic. All while traveling, searching for the drones themselves. Whoops. Sorry, I accidentally clicked the comment box and it moved the whole fucking thing. I would also like to add, I did spot a drone over here in Utah back in December. Okay, so um, when I saw one in Colorado, it was in December, and Utah is not that far from
No, not at
Colorado.
all.
So that's interesting. Anyways, so she said she saw one in Utah back in December as all this was going down in New Jersey. It did have the same red, green, white lights described by many others. I live near an airport, so it was easy to spot the planes versus the drone, but it hovered in the same spot for a while one night. Then the following night, it had slightly moved from the spot I saw it initially. It hasn't been there since, and not sure if it was someone's drone as they're popular here due to the scenery in Utah. Either way, It was cool to witness, she put witness in quotes, cool to witness a drone at the same time that all that was going down. There were also reports of multiple drones near the Hill Air Force Base that matches what was being described in New Jersey as well, which the base had come out to say they didn't belong to them, and if anyone were to see them to call the authorities. Weird. And then she put the nerd emoji.
Wow. That was very interesting and very informative.
It was.
Because
And it also ties into the episode too, because Dakota said at the Picatinny Arsenal.
that's, yeah.
Yeah. The Picatinny Arsenal, he said that the drones, like, civilians were not allowed to fly drones there, and yet there was still drones hovering over the base. So, like, same scenario.
Huh. See, it's interesting, huh?
It
seems
is
pretty, like,
interesting.
consistent.
Yeah.
Which, if everybody's seeing the same thing, like, that's obviously not made up. I had another comment on Instagram from Allie. She said the firework video was insane. We agree. Absolutely, it was. And the fact that they kept running into cops, people who looked like cops, was sus, which we also just discussed.
Yeah.
It is very weird.
Yeah, super weird.
Which, that begs the question, again, like, kind of like what we were talking about with Dakota getting pulled over and stuff. So those people obviously weren't cops. Yes, they were in the middle of, like, fucking nowhere. I'm just curious if they ended up getting caught. Because it was an unmarked vehicle. They were in normal clothes. Like, it's very suspicious, to say the least, like Allie had said.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, that reminds me. Speaking of getting caught, go ahead, finish your sentence first, or your thought
I was just gonna
first.
say that, like, it just seems very, like, not right. And definitely illegal.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't think that that's a part of
Yeah.
anything to do with any of it. I think that people were just being sus as fuck. Because they wanted
Yeah.
people to avoid
Super
them that
weird.
may have been on those back roads.
In the middle of nowhere.
But Dakota
sketch.
makes a wrong turn and he gets pulled over by the cops. Interesting. Yes, I know he was near a base. I know, because we established that, but, like, still weird. Like, it's all in the same,
Super weird.
like, it's just suspicious. If they knew, because, like, obviously Dakota and Connor were going down that way because of where people had seen shit. And clearly other people had knowledge of that as well. If the cops were truly as on point with it, wouldn't somebody somewhere have been around the area, like, in order to catch those people?
Well,
it's just weird.
To get a different thought process too is, like, what if it's some type of government related unmarked vehicle? Like, still suspicious.
It is suspicious. It's suspicious regardless, and we just, whoa.
Whatever is happening, yeah, is
just wrong.
suspicious. Back to the getting caught thing, though, like, real bold of Dak and Connor to just be shooting lasers in the fucking air.
Dude,
or the
I forgot
ocean.
about the lasers.
I was like, dudes. I was waiting for somebody to. What's really funny too is they're, like, trying to attract UFOs, and I'm sure somewhere somebody really far away was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Dude, and you know, like, with the fog and shit, that shit
imagine?
would have traveled so far across the ocean.
I know. Plot twist: they blinded somebody.
That would suck.
Sorry, I just have weird thoughts when stuff like that happens. I'm like, bro. Like,
yeah, that
what?
was wild, but also kind of clever at the same time.
I know. Anyways, back to comments. We're on Twitter now. Taylor said, it was very well put together, but I think, like everyone else, we need a part 2. I think there's something else there, but it might just be my curiosity. So yeah, we also just discussed that a few minutes ago, and totally agree, Taylor. I just have way more questions than anything at this point.
Absolutely. I have one more comment on Instagram from Amanda, our friend Amanda. She said, I don't have any experiences, just goosebumps when he talked about the firework mimicking. Those videos were so eerie yet fascinating. It truly is. It definitely gives, like what we were talking about at the very beginning of this episode, just further more perspective on what could potentially be happening as far as, like, observations, information sharing. Like, it's deeper than just that, for sure, I feel. But it's just, I don't know, it's crazy and super, super strange. Definitely something I've never seen before.
Right. Yeah, those videos are just gonna like linger, I guess, in my
Yeah.
head for a while. It's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? What even is
Just,
that?
mm,
Well, and then back to the military guy too. That he said that like whatever they are is like something not capable of like human. We aren't that advanced to make technology like that. So
exactly.
the orbs and stuff. So also an interesting thing.
Super interesting.
I have one last comment on Twitter. It was from Miss Cecily, and she said, "It was amazing. I can't believe they saw a light in the ocean." Yeah, that was crazy, Cecily. And as we discussed too, it was just obviously there's like if it was a boat, it would have been bobbing and weaving all over the place and definitely not moving that fast.
Yeah.
So question marks on what that one was for
Definitely
sure.
very interesting. And finally, I had one DM that I received. This person wanted to remain anonymous, but they say, I believe this was back in summer of 2018. My dad was bringing me back to my mom's. They live about 12 minutes apart. He and my brother were at some car meet, but I had wanted to come home. I lived with my mom. Anyways, he goes by his house to pick me up after the car meet. We were at 7-Eleven, which is basically across the street from my house. The light had turned red. I was looking out the window. I saw something that was definitely out of the ordinary. I pointed it out to my dad, and he looked. He told me, "Call Mom." I tried calling her, but it went to voicemail. The light was still red. Then this thing started blinking. The shape was like a circle. The lights were going like Morse code. Then, after what felt like maybe 20 minutes, it flew over us with no sound. My dad and I are both pretty sure we saw a UFO.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
that's super weird. I've had a lot of people say that they've like seen things like that in the sky and they have no sound, which we know that majority of our aircrafts like they have sound, they're very loud. So, that's really interesting and kind of scary, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is nuts. Like even little drones have sounds,
Yeah.
you know?
At least,
They're like
yeah, like some sort of buzzing. Um, yeah, it's just very, very, very weird. We thank you guys for sharing those comments with us. I really hope that this episode was up to par. I know I feel like I say this every time that I talk about like anything. I just feel like our concepts are kind of broad, but honestly, like I enjoy having these in-depth conversations like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really
Me too.
enjoy it, and it was definitely something different. Let us know if you guys would like to see us do another episode on aliens because we would absolutely love to do it. And also let us know in the comments if you would like for Project Fear to do a part 2 to this episode. I know that we definitely would like to see a part 2. We would like to see what else
Yeah,
that they could capture.
I would.
They are in a
Mhm.
position of which they have like a thermal camera, really high quality equipment. So I would love to see what else that they could capture. And they are very passionate about what they're looking for. So I think it would be very interesting to see them investigate further into this.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. With that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on our wherever you're listening to this podcast at, actually. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Fear Babes. And we'll catch you next
Yeah,
week.
we're going to be back to our compare and contrast episodes. And next up on our location stop between Project Fear and Destination Fear is Pennhurst Asylum, which I'm looking forward to that
Speaking of
episode because they had a guest on Project Fear. So I'm looking
Project
forward to the dynamic
But
that provides us.
speaking of Pennhurst,
Oh,
Mads, should we drop the information?
I think it's time. You guys, you're not going to believe this.
Guys, we have a very important conversation to have right
Um,
now.
to conclude this episode, we wanted to let you know that we are officially going to be vendors at Pennhurst Paracon this year. That is happening on May 17th and 18th. So come out and see us because we would love to meet you guys. And of course, Project Fear is going to be there. That's going to be fun, as well as a lot of other paranormal celebrities. So if you have any interest in going to Pennhurst Paracon, you should definitely look into it. And if there's any reason why you should come, it should definitely be for us, not anybody else.
Yes, please come see us. I would love to meet all
Yeah,
of you.
seriously.
Thank you.
Seriously. We're going to be selling
Yep.
some merchandise and
Yes.
hopefully taking pictures with people because that's what we want to meet people.
I wanted to say hi and give hugs.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
what's up. Hang
Hell
out
yeah,
a little
brother.
bit.
So if you would like to see us, the link to the Pennhurst Paracon is down below wherever you're listening to this podcast in the bio.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, well, I guess that'll do then. All right, and that's on aliens. Okay, bye.
That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
Oh no, Shrek again? We're going back to Shrek
No
now?
fucking. We on our Lord Farquaad shit.
Oh gosh, dang it.